So, what if I told you that reality, the solid stuff all around you, isn't quite as solid as it seems? It turns out, modern physics is uncovering some truths that are so strange, they're forcing us to rethink, well, everything. And the craziest part? Ancient philosophers might have been onto these same principles thousands of years ago. Let's dive in and see how.
All right, here's the game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with the bizarre new reality that quantum physics has dropped on us. Then we'll get into something called the observer effect, which is a total mind-bender. From there, we'll see how this connects to ancient wisdom, redefine what reality even is, and then, and this is the best part, see how your own attention literally helps create your world.
Okay, first up, the quantum realm. Now, this isn't just some complicated science for a textbook. This is humanity's deepest look into the very fabric of the universe. And honestly, the deeper we look, the weirder it gets. We're talking about particles that can be in multiple places at the same time, and outcomes that literally change just because somebody is watching.
And all of this weirdness boils down to one absolutely mind-bending question. Does the simple act of looking at something actually change what that something is? I mean, that sounds impossible, right? But according to quantum physics, the answer is a resounding and very, very strange yes. So how on earth did scientists figure this out? Well, this totally bizarre truth came to light because of one of the most famous and, frankly, most important experiments in the history of physics. It's the one that revealed what we now call the observer effect.
So what is the observer effect? Here's the deal. It's this phenomenon where just the act of observing a tiny particle forces it to, well, to make a choice. Before you look at it, it exists in this blurry cloud of possibilities, like a wave of maybes. But the instant you look, bam, it collapses into a single, definite this.
And here's how they proved it, with something called the double-slit experiment. The setup is surprisingly simple. You just fire tiny particles, like electrons, at a wall that has two slits in it. Then, a screen behind that wall basically acts like a backstop, showing you where they land. The real mystery starts when you compare what happens when you're watching them versus when you're not.
And this is where it gets wild. When no one's watching, the electrons behave like waves. They seem to pass through both slits at once and create this wide, smeary pattern on the screen. But, and this is the kicker, the moment scientists put a detector there to see which slit the electron goes through, their behavior completely changes. They snap into acting like tiny, solid baseballs, creating two clean, simple lines. Just looking at them forces reality to pick a side.
Now, this idea was so radical, it drove some of the world's greatest minds absolutely crazy. Even the great Albert Einstein really struggled with it. He famously said, "I like to think the moon is there even if I'm not looking at it." But that's the thing. Quantum physics suggests something shocking. Observation isn't passive. It's a creative act.
But here's what's truly fascinating. This radical new idea from physics, it might not be so new after all. It really seems like science might just be catching up to what ancient philosophers and spiritual traditions have been pointing to for centuries. If you look at Taoism, for instance, the universe, or the Tao, wasn't seen as a bunch of fixed objects. It was this living, flowing field of potential. The Tao Te Ching describes it as the formless form, something you can't quite see or grab. I mean, doesn't that sound almost exactly like a quantum wave? That cloud of pure possibility before you observe it?
And then there's Buddhism, which has taught for ages that our perception isn't just a passive camera recording reality, it's actively constructing it. The Buddhist famous line, "With our thoughts we make the world," is starting to sound less like a spiritual metaphor and a lot more like a literal description of how the physical world works.
The Stoics were also completely fascinated by this idea. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote that everything we see is perception, not truth. They believe that events out there in the world are basically neutral until our mind interacts with them, interprets them, and gives them meaning. We are the ones who shape them into our subjective reality.
So here's the crucial point, the big takeaway. We've got modern physics on one side and ancient philosophy on the other. Two paths separated by thousands of years, using completely different methods, and yet they seem to be arriving at the exact same, incredible conclusion about how reality works.
I mean, just look at this. When you put their core ideas side by side, the parallels are just undeniable. Physics says observation affects matter. Ancient wisdom said awareness shapes your experience. Physics is telling us the universe is participatory. Ancient wisdom has been teaching that the observer and the observed are one. They're just different languages describing the same fundamental truth.
And what is that truth? It's this: reality isn't a thing, it's a relationship.
It's a dance. You are not some detached spectator just watching the movie of the universe unfold. No, you are an active participant. Your consciousness is playing a fundamental role in the game.
So you might be thinking, okay, that's a cool cosmic idea, but why does it matter to me? Well, this isn't just some abstract philosophy. It has profound practical implications for how you live your life, starting right now, today.
Let's just boil it all down to this one key concept. This is the core of it. Your focus is a creative force. Seriously, just like a scientist's detector collapses a wave of possibilities into a single particle, your attention collapses the infinite possibilities of your life into the reality you actually get to experience.
So let's map this out a bit. Think of your attention like a spotlight. Whatever you shine it on, that's what becomes real for you. When you consistently focus on gratitude, your brain literally starts to rewire itself to find more things to be grateful for. If you focus on fear, guess what? Your world is going to seem filled with threats. What you focus on, it grows. It becomes your world.
And it's not even just about intense focus. It's also about simple awareness. Remember the experiment? The act of observing changed everything. It's the same for you. By simply observing your anxious thoughts without getting caught up in them, you reduce their power. By observing your emotions, you become less reactive. Awareness itself is a profoundly transformative act.
So, we're left with this final, really powerful question. If observation is a creative act, if your attention truly helps shape your world by collapsing all the possibilities into the one you experience, then what kind of world are you going to choose to observe into existence today?
Like and subscribe for timeless wisdom.